Elves are wonderful. They provoke wonder. Elves are marvelous. They cause marvels. Elves are fantastic. They create fantasies. Elves are glamorous. They project glamour. Elves are enchanting. They weave enchantment. Elves are terrific. They beget terror. The thing about words is that meanings can twist just like a snake. And if you want to find snakes, look behind words that have changed their meaning. No one ever said elves were nice. Elves are bad. How's it going today? I wanted to set the tone the right way, but I'll be trying a few different things in this video, so strap on in. You might have some tonal shifts. Let me know what you guys think. Today, I'm reviewing House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. House of Salt and Sorrows is a retelling of the fairy tale The 12 Dancing Princesses, known by the Brothers Grimm. This story is aimed at a YA audience. It's dancy, there are daughters, and it's something I've read. Transitions are hard, so let's get into it. House of Salt and Sorrows is definitely darker than the original Brothers Grimm story as I understand it. A brief plot overview. We're introduced to 11 daughters after 3 of them and their mother have died. We follow Anna Lee, the daughter to a duke and the newly second oldest daughter, as she investigates the circumstances of her sister's death. Instead of mourning her death for the culturally allotted 6 months or so, just a week later, her father, the duke, tears open the curtains and says, "No more wallowing, let's party."
So we might as well have a good time. Toga, 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 toga.
He throws a ball for the triplets' 16th birthday, but it doesn't go as planned since the town thinks the family is cursed with all the recent death. In preparation for the ball, he buys his daughters ridiculously expensive shoes to dance in. One of the daughters describes them as fairy shoes. Fairy shoes? Dancing? Oh boy! I think we're getting somewhere. To avoid spoilers, I'm going to describe the folklore tale. There are 12 princesses that sleep in 12 rooms in 12 beds. Every night they go out and dance by taking 12 boats to visit 12 princes. What is this, Madeline? The princesses go out to an enchanted castle and dance the night away. Their shoes all wear out so quickly that their father hires a man to investigate what they're getting up to at night. The man follows them to the castle and finds out they've been enchanted by fairies to return night after night to dance. He breaks the enchantment to free them and ends up marrying one of the princesses, and they all live happily ever after. Back to House of Salt and Sorrows. Since 4 people have died before we get to page 1, I can guarantee it's not going to end as happily as the fairy tale for everyone. A similar book for a slightly older audience would be Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. It's an enchanting tale that deals with fairy magic and the twisted deals they offer. Be warned, it can be a dense read with a stiff upper lip and over-formality you might expect with a story placed in the Victorian era. I do say, my dear boy, please grant my humble request to do you the honor to compliment you upon your countenance, as your burnished cheeks shine as though a cherub, and your demeanor most distinguished. Huh? Oh, you look good. I read the book first, but was really impressed with the TV adaptation too, so I would recommend checking either of them out. I know the opening sequence talked about elves, but they overlap closely with fairies. The largest differences I can tell between the two are mainly their size and how much they like to mess with humans. Also, the 12 Dancing Princesses has been remixed all over the world, so don't worry about my blending. Erin Craig takes from this traditional folklore background, tints it darker, and then adds in other gods to really flesh out the magical world. Coming into the story with some folklore background, you can place which character is going to serve what role. Speaking about the other gods that Erin adds in, I saw most of them as being proto-gods. The first one mentioned, Pontus, is one I actually recognize as a proto-precursor to Poseidon, the Lord of the Seas. I'm not sure about the other ones. I tried to look it up but couldn't find a good one-to-one match. Either way, these gods serve the same role that you would expect and are the masters of their domains. In this story, the influences they present are real. They walk among the humans and they attend meetings and tend crops. They are tangible beings. Combining magics and new gods and creating gods across cultural origins is nothing new. That's syncretism, baby! House of Salt and Sorrows has elements of psychological horror as Anna Lee faces gruesome visions of her departed sisters and has to grapple with what is real or not. Ghosts work well with fairies, as they are both forms of unreality, and I'm surprised I haven't seen it done as well before. Unreality is the opposite to mortality, the opposite to the unyielding force of nature that we all face. Instead of things that were becoming no longer, unreality represents things that were not becoming things that could be. These enchanting dances, where flames burn unyielding, where the nights never end, where people twirl forever under porcelain masks, are a buffer against the undeniable force of reality. The daughters want to dance with strangers who are unaware of the supposed family curse, but really, they dance to cover their grief. Only in these frozen shards of time, when morality is halted and their sisters can no longer die, can they glimpse happiness. Ooh, all right. Got heavy there for a second. All right. Annabelle Lee's uncertainty as she has visions and is surrounded by icons of death reaches a fever pitch as we race towards the end. Unfortunately, these orchestrations turn a bit into cacophony, and I had to sit back and wait for the dust to settle to really be able to track what was going on. Overall, I really liked House of Salt and Sorrows. I'm a sucker for modern remixes on folklore, so mixing together fairies and ghosts and ancient gods, I love it. I also appreciated that Erin didn't force a love triangle. It looked like it might have been heading that way for a second, but it didn't dip in fully. Take notes, every other YA book. Some of the daughters' characterizations were muddy, but that's going to be inevitable when you have 11 of them to work through. Grouping some of them into triplets really worked well because they could represent one behavior, and it also deepened the feeling of magic with the whole we can feel each other's pain. Again, Erin is taking existing material, adding her own flair, and then really turning some of the weaknesses into strengths. I would rate House of Salt and Sorrows a 3.5 out of 5 stars overall, and a 4.5 out of 5 for YA specifically. As you might tell from this review, I was able to explore some depths that I don't think other YA books are serving it up very often. I see that Erin has published 2 other books since this one came out, and I'm looking forward to checking them out in another review.